Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Let me tell you how one so-called joke shattered everything I believed in. It started at 7:42 p.m. on a Wednesday. Yes, I remember the exact time, because I was mid-bite into my reheated pasta when the TV cut to static. Then, without warning, a slideshow began playing. Our living room TV. Our living room. And a slideshow. Of me. Photos I never saw before, screenshots, mostly. Me at the grocery store. Me holding our mail. Me watering our cactus in socks and boxer shorts. All of it overlaid with dramatic music and captions like, "Is he hiding something? Would you trust this man?" I dropped my fork. My wife, sitting across from me on the couch, didn't even flinch. She just sipped her soda and said, "Do you like it? I've been working on it all week." I didn't understand. I thought maybe it was a trailer for some Netflix parody or a weird YouTube ad. But then I saw our cat, Waffles, wearing sunglasses, sitting beside my laptop with a caption that read, "Even the cat suspects something." "What is this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She laughed. Like, really laughed. Tears in her eyes kind of laugh. She was filming my reaction the whole time. "I told my followers I'd prank you tonight," she said. "It's all staged. You're the star of my new miniseries, Seuss Husband Saga. Episode 1 just dropped." I blinked. "What followers?" That's when she turned her phone to show me her TikTok page. 208K followers. I didn't even know she had a channel. Apparently, I'd been unknowingly featured for months. Edited clips, passive-aggressive captions, awkward zoom-ins of me yawning or scratching my neck, all turned into comedy. But this was different. This wasn't a prank. This was character assassination. And people loved it. Her newest post had comments like, "He totally looks like he cheats. That's the face of a man with secrets. Justice for Waffles' paw prints." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't, I was going to lose my mind. She still thought it was a joke. "Come on, Lowell," she said. "It's just content. Everyone knows it's satire." But it wasn't satire to me. It was betrayal. Not physical, not emotional, but public. And somehow, permanent. She didn't stop. That Seuss Husband Saga stunt. It went viral. By morning, I was a meme. My face, sleepy, unflattering, mid-blink, was floating around the internet under captions like, "When you lie about where you've been but forget she has cameras." There were duet reactions, parody remixes, even a fake lie detector clip someone edited using AI. I was trending, and I had no idea what to do. I confronted her again, told her it was humiliating, told her it felt like I was being dissected and mocked in front of thousands of people I didn't even know. She rolled her eyes and said, "Babe, it's not that deep. Everyone knows it's a joke. You're being dramatic." I wasn't being dramatic. I was being stripped of dignity, one post at a time. She promised to take the video down. Instead, she uploaded a response video titled, "My husband's big mad over a little joke, grinning face with sweat skull." She even included a clip of our conversation, secretly recorded. You could hear my voice cracking, pleading with her to stop. She edited it with circus music in the background and captions that said things like, "When the prank hits too close to the ego." Her followers flooded the comments. "He's gaslighting you. He's definitely hiding something. Girl, run. He's giving red flags." I wasn't hiding anything. I was losing my grip. At work, my coworkers started sending me links. Joking at first. But then one of my clients canceled a call last minute, and I later found out they'd seen one of the clips. They thought I was unstable. Just like that, my professional life was collateral damage in her content machine. At home, I started locking the bathroom door, not because I feared for my safety, but because I didn't know if there'd be a phone propped in the corner filming me brushing my teeth wrong. I unplugged our Alexa. She said I was being paranoid. I said I was trying to feel human again. Then came the final blow. She invited me to what she called a reconciliation dinner. Candlelight, music, homemade pasta. For a moment, I thought maybe she finally understood. That maybe the girl I fell in love with, the one who used to cry watching nature documentaries and leave sticky notes in my lunch, was still in there. But it wasn't a dinner. It was another recording. Hidden GoPros. Audio mics tucked into fake succulents on the table. The candles were for aesthetic. The dinner was a setup. She called it, "I pranked my husband into thinking I had empathy." Yes, that was the title. When I found out, I didn't yell. I just stood up, walked into the bedroom, and sat in the dark for an hour. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't slam a door. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there thinking, how do you get out of a marriage when your identity is a running joke in someone else's story? She knocked once. You're overreacting again. Maybe I was. But it still felt like the walls were caving in, and I was the only one suffocating. I didn't leave that night. I wish I could say I had the courage to walk out right then, but I didn't. Instead, I slept on the floor next to our bed, not because she asked me to, but because I couldn't bring myself to lie beside her. I stared at the ceiling for hours, wondering if I was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I didn't get humor like the rest of the world did. Maybe I'd become so pathetic that even my misery looked funny through a filter. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She slid her arm around my shoulder as I drank coffee and said, "You were a hit last night. 2 million in 8 hours. Like that was supposed to make up for the fact that I had become the punchline of a nationwide joke. She placed her phone on the counter with the video paused on my expression from the dinner, eyes wide, hope flickering into confusion. That moment, my heartbreak, was being memed with captions like, "When you realize she's just farming your reactions." I told her it was over. Quietly. No anger. No shouting. Just those 3 words. "This is over." Her response? She laughed again. Said I was just trying to make a dramatic exit so I could trend for once. I don't think she understood I wasn't performing. I was drowning. I left the house that afternoon, not with a suitcase, but with a grocery bag filled with some socks, a toothbrush, and an old hoodie that still smelled like detergent. I didn't have a plan. I just walked. Ended up at a cheap motel 2 miles away, paying in cash like I was running from the law. I checked into a room that smelled like bleach and sadness, and fell asleep fully clothed on a mattress that dipped in the middle. What happened next shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. She went live. Titled it, "He Finally Left Me. Here's Why I'm Glad." Relieved face sparkles. She cried for the camera. Told her audience I had emotionally abandoned her, that I hated fun, that I was controlling and gaslighting her for not liking being filmed. She even showed our texts from that week. Edited, of course, to make me look like I was spiraling into madness. And her audience? They ate it up. Good riddance. He was holding you back from being a queen. Start your healing era, girl. Some even offered to expose me online. She weaponized the breakup, turned it into a redemption arc. And somehow, I was the villain in a story I didn't even know I was part of until it was over. My friends didn't know what to believe. Some messaged me asking if I had really been controlling. One even asked if I was seeking therapy. I wanted to scream. I wanted to show them everything. But the truth is, when someone's already crafted a narrative and sold it to the world, your silence looks like guilt. And any defense sounds like deflection. I sat in that motel room, watching a live stream of my life unraveling in real time. She was dancing, in a single again video by the end of the week. It got over 4 million views. I got 3 missed calls from work asking why I hadn't shown up. I didn't have an answer. I didn't leave the motel for 3 days. I lived off vending machine chips, old granola bars from my car, and lukewarm tap water from a plastic cup that reeked of bleach. The blinds were shut tight the entire time, not because of the sun, but because I was terrified someone might recognize me. That's how far it had gone. I wasn't just the boring husband in a prank series anymore. I was a character in a digital circus, and people had started stitching my face into all kinds of scenarios. Suspicious husband reacts to everything became a full-on meme format. I saw my face edited onto crime documentaries, cooking fails, even dog videos. Everyone was laughing. And the worst part? She kept feeding it. She posted a new video titled, "My ex-husband used to say this before gaslighting me, broken heart." It was just a recording of me saying, "Can we talk about this later? I need space." No context. No explanation. Just that line, looped over sad music. The comments? Classic abuser line. Red flag city. My ex said the same thing right before he cheated. I hadn't cheated. I hadn't lied. I hadn't done anything except exist beside someone who realized monetizing my breakdown brought better numbers than loving me ever did. She was working with brands now. Skincare, wellness, even mental health apps. Mental health apps. I laughed so hard at that, I started coughing. She was doing ads for healing after portraying me as the emotional abuser. I tried to reach out to her once. Not to beg or scream. I'd given up on being heard. I just wanted her to stop using me. I texted her, saying, "Please, Leave me out of your content. I don't want to be part of your story anymore. Her reply was 3 emojis: clown face, chart increasing nail polish. That was it. The day after that, someone knocked on my motel door. I panicked. I didn't answer. I waited until they left, heart racing like I'd committed a crime. When I finally peeked through the blinds, I saw a man walking away in a hoodie that said #TeamTaryn. I stared at it for minutes, not blinking. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just digital anymore. She had built an army, a community of people who felt entitled to hate me, ridicule me, and hunt me down based on a version of events that wasn't even real. I wasn't a husband anymore. I wasn't even a man. I was a symbol, something to point at and say, look what a real toxic relationship looks like. And she didn't stop. She released merch. Hoodies, mugs, pillows with my face blurred out and the words, "He said it was just a joke." People bought them. One of my coworkers wore one to a Zoom call. I left the meeting before my camera turned on. I wanted to vanish. Just disappear into some nameless town where no one had Wi-Fi and no one cared about TikToks. But instead, I sat there in that creaky motel room, trying to figure out how to erase a digital ghost that was never really me. That night, I opened a blank email draft, addressed to a lawyer I found online. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time before I finally typed 5 words. She turned me into content. And then I hit send. By the time I sent that email to the lawyer, my hands were shaking so badly I had to hold them against the table just to steady myself. I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. She had taken everything from me except my own thoughts, and even those felt borrowed, twisted by strangers who thought they knew me because of edited clips and captions. I didn't want revenge. I wanted silence. I wanted a life where my face didn't automatically queue up a laugh track somewhere on the internet. When the lawyer called me back, his voice was calm and clinical, but there was a pause after I explained what had happened, how my wife had filmed me without consent, edited the footage, monetized it, built an empire out of my humiliation. "You're not the first," he said quietly. That sentence landed heavier than I expected. Not the first, meaning there were others like me, people who'd been turned into storylines by the people closest to them. He told me there were legal ways to remove some of the content, but the internet never truly forgets. Even if she took everything down, the reposts and remixes would still be there. Shadows of me living in a digital carnival forever. I hung up and sat in the corner of the room, staring at my reflection in the black TV screen. I looked older than my 34 years. Eyes hollow, skin pale, hair sticking out like static. I thought about how, before all this, my biggest worry was whether we'd save enough for a vacation or finally fix the broken dishwasher. Now I was thinking about restraining orders and DMCA notices. 2 nights later, I made the mistake of checking her page again. She had gone further. She was hosting a live Q&A called "Ask Me Anything About My Toxic Marriage." She sat there smiling at questions that scrolled past like bullets. "Did he ever get violent?" one asked. She shrugged theatrically. "Let's just say I'm lucky." Thousands of viewers, hearts floating up the screen. I felt something inside me snap. Not rage, but a quiet, heavy finality. She wasn't going to stop. Not because she hated me, but because I had become useful to her. Every lie was engagement. Every tear she faked was sponsorship money. That night, for the first time in months, I opened my own social media account and stared at the blank post window. My thumb hovered over the screen. I could have tried to clear my name, posted screenshots, voice notes, receipts. But I didn't. I closed the app. She had her stage. I wasn't going to be her reluctant co-star anymore. Instead, I drove. No plan, no GPS, just roads and gas stations and neon signs blurring past at midnight. The world felt bigger outside of the screen. The air smelled like rain and gasoline instead of stale motel sheets. Somewhere between 2 nameless towns, I realized this wasn't just leaving her. It was leaving that version of myself. The one who kept waiting for her to apologize. The one who thought silence would protect him. I didn't know where I was going, but for the first time in a long time, the road ahead didn't look like a punchline. It looked like a beginning. It took almost 2 weeks before she even noticed I'd vanished. Or maybe she noticed earlier, but didn't care enough to mention it publicly. Either way, I was already deep into nowhere by then, renting a small room above a closed-down ice cream shop in a town that didn't have Uber or strong Wi-Fi. The woman who rented it to me was in her 70s and didn't ask a single personal question. That, alone, Felt like therapy. I thought I'd finally found a sliver of peace until I got the notification. Yes, I still had my old email, the one connected to our shared streaming accounts and grocery delivery logins. I hadn't shut it down because I was too tired to deal with all the password resets. But that day, it delivered something I wasn't prepared for. Subject line, I owe you something. The sender? Taryn. It wasn't long. Just 3 lines. I've been thinking a lot. I want to meet and talk. For real this time. No cameras. No games. I stared at it for 10 minutes. I wanted to believe it was sincere. That maybe the person I married had resurfaced. If only for a moment. Against my better judgment, I replied, one time. In public. You choose where. She picked a coffee shop in our old neighborhood. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting by the window with sunglasses on, even though it was cloudy. I almost turned around and left when I saw a guy 2 tables away pretending to be on his laptop, but angling it slightly toward us. I recognized the look. She brought someone to record just in case. Still, I sat. Taryn didn't waste time. She launched into a speech that felt oddly rehearsed, like a YouTuber's apology video in real life. She said she didn't expect things to blow up the way they had, that she only meant it as content, that she lost control of the narrative, that people pressured her to keep escalating the drama, that the audience started writing the story for me. But every time I looked into her eyes, something felt off. She blinked too deliberately, paused like she was waiting for imaginary applause. My stomach sank when she slipped and said, I just thought if we patched things up, the fans would be really. She stopped, looked down. I leaned forward. The what? She looked up, tears forming, and whispered, I didn't mean it like that. But she did. I realized then that even this moment, this fragile, shaky meeting that was supposed to be about closure, was another scene in the production. Whether she filmed it or not didn't matter. She was already imagining how she'd retell it, twist it, market it. When I got up to leave, she reached for my hand. Not like a wife reaching for a husband. Like a producer trying not to lose her lead actor. You were the only part that was real, she said. I didn't respond. I just walked out. Behind me, I heard the faint click of a shutter. Whether it was real or just my paranoia, I don't know. But I didn't turn around. That night, she posted a photo of 2 coffee cups and a single word. Closure. And just like that, the story continued. Not mine. Hers. But at least now, I knew how to stay out of it. A week after that coffee shop meeting, I received a manila envelope in the mail. No return address, no note, just my name in handwriting I recognized immediately. I thought maybe it was a letter, some long, handwritten apology that her pride couldn't let her say out loud. But inside was something else entirely. A contract. 6 pages. Professionally typed. Watermarked with the logo of a media agency I'd never heard of. The title, Joint Content Partnership Agreement, Spousal Edition. I stood there in my tiny rented room, holding this absurd thing in my hands, my fingers trembling, not with rage this time, but with disbelief. I flipped through the pages. Section A, Revenue Sharing Terms. Section B, Intellectual Property Rights. Section C, Boundaries for Physical and Emotional Pranks. Section D, Dispute Resolution. It even listed examples of acceptable reactions, including confusion, frustration, and silent withdrawal, but no verbal protests, sulking, or refusal to participate. Apparently, my trauma had been reclassified as content strategy. She wanted me back, not as a husband, but as a co-star, a character, a controlled variable in a format that got views. The contract even stated I'd receive 40% of any monetized videos where my face or voice appeared. My name was no longer mine. It had been converted into a brand. I didn't sign it. Of course I didn't. But the fact that she thought I might, that she counted on me being desperate enough to say yes, that broke something in me deeper than anything she'd done before. That night, I sat at the edge of my bed and finally admitted it to myself. She never loved me. She loved the version of me she could script, edit, and upload. The passive one, the awkward one, the funny one who didn't fight back. I had become her narrative device. And even my silence was useful. It made me look more guilty, more broken, more sellable. I called the lawyer again the next morning. This time, I didn't hesitate. I asked for a cease and desist. I wanted every clip of me taken down. Every video, every frame, every soundbite. Even if it didn't erase the copies or memes or reposts, it would force her to stop feeding the fire. His voice was calm but concerned. She's already signed deals. Taking this public might escalate things. Are you ready for that? I didn't know if I was. But I was tired of being afraid. Tired of hiding like I was the one who'd done something wrong. By the end of the week, a formal letter had been sent. I didn't hear from her directly, but I did see her next post. Just a black screen with white text that read, "Some people can't take a joke. Goodbye to this saga." Thousands of comments. Heart emojis. Sad emojis. A few people begged her to fight back. One person even wrote, "He's probably jealous you're more famous than him." That one hit me harder than I expected, because somewhere in the mess of it all, she had become famous. For turning me into something I never was. A villain. A fool. A cautionary tale. But I wasn't any of those things. I was just a man who trusted the wrong person to love him honestly. After she posted that final screen, "Some people can't take a joke," I expected her to pivot, to find a new angle, maybe even a new target. But then, something strange happened. Silence. Her upload stopped. No reels. No live streams. No dramatic storytime videos. The brand deals dried up. Her followers moved on to fresher scandals. New faces to dissect and worship. Just like that, the empire she built on my humiliation collapsed. But me? I was still standing. The cease and desist held. Platforms began quietly removing the videos. Some mirror accounts kept clips alive, but without her feeding the algorithm, they lost momentum. I didn't check the hashtags anymore. I didn't need to. I wasn't haunted by them like I once was. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid to look people in the eye when I walked outside. I got a job in a quieter city, nothing flashy. A second-shift logistics coordinator. Most of my coworkers are older guys who don't care about TikTok or trends. They care about lunch breaks and Friday fishing trips. No one knows my story here. They just know I like my coffee black and never forget to clock out. That's enough. Last week, I finally deleted the last folder of evidence I'd kept. Screenshots, downloads, transcripts. I don't need proof anymore. What happened was real, but it doesn't have to define me. She thought she was ending the chapter with a final punchline. But the truth is, she only closed her story. I'm still writing mine. One day I'll tell someone what really happened. Maybe not with tears or anger, but with the kind of calm you earn after surviving something that nearly broke you. Maybe I'll even laugh. A real laugh. One that belongs to me. Until then, I'm okay. Actually, I'm better than okay. Because I'm not part of anyone else's script anymore. I get to be the main character in my own life again. Thanks for following this story here on Reddit Confessions. Now it's your turn. Have you ever had someone twist your truth into a joke? Or has someone tried to use your pain for their own gain? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear the moment you reclaimed your voice. And don't forget to subscribe to Reddit Confessions for more stories that pull back the curtain on what really happens behind closed doors.